Are you appointed by God? If the answer is no, I'm not appointed by God, then thank you very much. I don't want to hear about it, because you don't have the right to talk in the name of God.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello and welcome everybody. You're watching Where is God Today? I am joined by my very, very good brother Waqar.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you for having me again.
It's an honor to be with you, man, and it's epic every time we sit and talk, man.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Thank you, my brother.
God bless you, bro.
Bless you.
You're all watching the Mahdi Has Appeared TV. There is a phone number on your screen. Please feel free to use it. We look forward to hearing from you, and let's talk. We're here to hear from you. So the last few episodes have been quite controversial.
Yeah.
But today we're taking it into a deeper realm, aren't we?
Yeah, we're taking to a very unknown realm. Something that's not
commonly spoken about.
Yeah. But it's actually very essential to the core teachings of most of the Abrahamic religions.
Right.
This other side to religion, this inner side, this right-hand path.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
path.
It's the correct path. It's actually what the destination was meant for humanity. But somehow it veered off into another direction and it's ended up in somewhere else.
Thanks to the corruptions, right?
Yeah, and that's why the Qaim is here, from whom his peace, is to steer humanity back
on track. Yeah.
Back on track and back on course.
Right, and it's obviously the most difficult of missions because everyone thinks they know religion. Everyone thinks they know God.
I mean, it's going to be difficult. To change someone's core beliefs, as you said, perspectives, ideology. Just taking someone out of their comfort zone. Just taking someone out of their comfort zone is can be a problem.
Of course, yeah. Like it would be. Like it's. Right. We know what it's like when you're forced to do something you're not really wanting to do. Like, for example, changing jobs or a new routine at work or whatever it is.
Our stage is the stage of a child. Every single when a child is very in a comfortable stage, it's in his comfort zone, and as soon as you take it out, it throws a tantrum, can't stop crying. He hates the change,
for sure.
And this is one of the little flaws of the ego, that it doesn't like to change. It doesn't like change.
Of course, yeah, of course.
It likes to be able to predict things. It likes to be able to predict its future. Mm-hmm. And the truth is that actually it doesn't really know anything. It doesn't really know its future.
That's the unfortunate truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so as always, we are dissecting an episode from Abba Sadiq, from him his peace. This is one of the more recent ones. If we can bring up the playlist. So, on Abba Sadiq's channel on YouTube, which is The Mahdi Has Appeared, we've told you about this many, many times. There is a playlist of the School of Divine Mysteries series. And in that, we have today's episode, which is, if we can bring up the next image, it's To Your Lord is the Final Destination. And this is a literal verse from the Quran in terms of a title.
Yeah.
Or part of. And it's quite poignant. It's quite
it's actually a clue.
Right.
It gives a clue to what actually religion is about.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so we know that there is, this idea that the path to God is through religion, right? But obviously the problem most people have out there is which religion.
Plus what the interpretation or definition is of religion, how they understand it.
Right. And like the reason it's so confusing and so disorienting is there's so many voices speaking as if they have the authority to tell you what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, do you know when you have a lot of voices?
Yeah.
You don't actually hear anything. All you hear is
noise.
That's the thing.
That's the worst part.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's jump into our very first clip.
Today we want to talk about the topic which we have been engaged in for the previous or the past 4 episodes, and that is this journey of the believer as he gets closer and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we spoke about how there's this mystery religion within a religion. We've spoke about how there are specific degrees that a person must cross through. These degrees which we spoke about are not hypothetical, theoretical degrees. There is real evidence of their existence. And it's been not only alluded to, but explicitly stated in books such as Al-Hafth Sharif, whereby there are a couple doors that speak specifically about the journey of a believer upwards and the journey of the disbeliever downwards, and how there are stations in each of these paths. So there's a good path and there's a bad path. There's the path of the right hand and there's the path of the left hand. And each and every one of them leads towards a station at the very end. In regards to the path of the right hand, it's said that the final destination is mentioned in the Quran in the verse where it says, "And to your Lord is the final destination," or "and to your Lord is the final goal." And so the final station is the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is becoming a caliph of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is a station whereby the believer who's walked down that path has come to fully know God, and he's elevated in degrees, elevated in rank, elevated in station. He has become full in his knowledge and knowing of the Almighty and his embodiment of the characteristics of good, that he has become complete. And Al-Hafth Sharif goes on to state that he also becomes free, that the chains that are on the rest of the servants fall off of him, and he goes away out of the category of being an abd or a servant to being a person who is free. Right? And it states that he no longer needs, for example, food and drink.
SubhanAllah, like it's the same theme of duality, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like this correct path and this incorrect path.
Yeah.
The path to elevation and the path to descent.
Yeah.
You know, like the path to enlightenment, the path to darkness.
Yeah.
And the key point is this word choice.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now, what's fascinating is they both have a destination.
Yeah.
And the destination of the correct path, the right-hand path, is the throne of Allah.
Yes.
Right. That's remarkable.
Yeah.
And, the unshackling through this correct path.
Yeah.
From the material, from the sort of illusion.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense that you get enshackled. The more you elevate, the more you understand. Yeah. I mean, let's take for example, a parent and a child relationship.
Right.
Child, while it's in its infancy or growing up, is basically under the shackles of the parent.
Completely dependent. Yeah.
I mean, the parents, even if the child wants something, it has to be carefully. You have to analyze and you have to see and weigh the pros and cons. Is this thing going to be good for him or not good for him?
For sure.
I mean, if a child wants to go somewhere, is it safe for him to go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it not safe for him to go? So there's always restrictions on a child, and because before the child can actually be, let out into the world, it has to be disciplined. It has to know what's right and wrong. It has to know what the dangers are. But there comes a time that when the child is matured enough, has demonstrated, that it can handle itself, and the parent is very confident that the child is now not a danger to itself. Understands its surroundings, understands his environment, has like
the understanding basically.
No, he has like a goal in life.
Oh, okay.
And which the parents are very aware of. Is approved of. After that, the child is free. Then after that, it doesn't have to go back to the parent for all the decisions. The parent trusts his decisions and respects those decisions. The same thing is with God. God doesn't look. He wants servitude in the beginning, because servitude is what disciplines you. But ultimately, the Creator God, what He wants is for you to become free, just like Him. Become a partner with Him.
Well, become like an extension of Him.
Yes, that's a very good description as well.
Because obviously, He wants you to carry the same traits He does.
Yes.
He wants you to personify as in He wants you to be a representative of Him to bring further light into the world, right?
If He takes care of the creation, you take care of the creation.
Yeah, exactly.
You understand?
You're more capable than the other creatures on the planet. Therefore, you have a certain responsibility towards them. Whether it's a helpless animal, whether it's like cattle, whatever it may be. Right? And there is that dynamic. There is that relationship. But there was something in there that was quite fascinating right at the end. Abu Sadiq, from whom his peace, mentioned. And he goes into it on the actual episode. And that's no longer requiring the sustenance from food.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, now that in itself was a big whoa moment, because we have a very sort of, I don't want to call it primitive, but it is a very basic understanding of you need food to sustain yourself, and without it you'll perish. Right? But what is food?
Look, the body does need sustenance.
Energy, for
that
sure.
is for sure.
Yeah,
it needs a source of energy. Now the thing is, there's multiple sources of energy.
I was gonna say.
Don't we have them in our worldly life? We have a coal. Which is a form of energy. It's
stored energy.
It's crude, but it'll get you from A to B. But then you have, if the requirement increases, for example, coal will not get you to the moon. It won't get into space.
You need a denser fuel.
You need a denser fuel. You need a more powerful fuel.
More densely stored energy.
And so the soul is that energy that's on the equivalent of it's beyond even nuclear energy.
I was just about to say so basically our understanding is that food sustains us, but what is food? Food is essentially stored energy.
All it does is have you noticed the food? All it does, it sustains your body.
Exactly.
But have you noticed your mind gets all fogged up? You feel tired. But does it spiritually fulfill you? Does it enhance the spirit? Does it reinforce the spirit? It's up to debate, that is.
What I was going to say in the episode, Abu Sadiq, from whom his peace, gives the example of the believer reaching a particular point in terms of enlightenment stroke development through spirituality and the right path, whereby they no longer require food. They reach this point where they don't require physical food now. They're no longer dependent on it. Right? Which means that their energy is coming from somewhere else.
They're sustained.
That sustenance has to come from something else. Now, what do we know about energy? Energy doesn't you cannot destroy energy. It just transfers from one state to another.
Yes, correct.
And this is science fact. Right? That's subject to change, but we don't know any better at the moment.
Yes.
Okay. So on that basis, right, that like if the soul is a form of energy, right, which technically it is, it's a life force, right?
Yes, it is, yes.
Surely it would be able, like, the better we understand the soul, the better we would understand how it would interact with other forms of energy. And it stands to reason that that example given is the pathway by which sustenance is achieved,
Yes.
right? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, like you've heard stories of like, you know, like people meditating for years.
Yeah.
And they're not moving from a particular position. They're sitting there, they're not drinking, they're not eating, they're literally like...
Yeah, we have examples, yes.
Right?
From around the world, yes.
Okay, so how are they doing that? Obviously, it has to be connected to this,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, there is a knowledge.
Right.
There is a knowledge that a lot of people around the world, and the mystery schools, they recognize this. But the thing is, the energy that we receive from food is an energy source that the body is like, it has...
It's very basic.
No, plus it's dependent on it. It's like, look, it's like the difference between a car that's run on electricity, but you have to charge it.
For sure.
Now imagine a car that runs on electricity but is self-generating.
Right, exactly.
You understand? So it doesn't need to rely on a fuel
source.
It becomes self-sufficient.
Yeah, exactly.
So the soul makes the body self-sufficient, so it can do this interdimensional travel and things like this.
You understand? Into that. Yeah, but this is the point. Like, it's that idea. I like just that one fact was so sort of fascinating. It was like, there's like so much we don't know. Meaning we have an infinite source of energy within our bodies that we can tap into. Yeah, we just don't understand it yet. We don't understand it. We don't understand the runnings of our body because we have not been like given this knowledge. Guided to it. Yeah, there's some things that have been purposely being kept secret. For many reasons. Yeah. On that note, bro, let's get into our second clip.
Okay. Another one of those things that the believer achieves at the end of the line that's mentioned in Al-Hafta Sharif is that this individual who reaches the final destination is able to rise up to the heavens and come back down to the earth at will. So this person has access to the kingdoms of the heaven. He's able to, at any given moment that he wishes, to rise up and go, for example, on a night journey. He can project his soul. He can go on these astral projections. In one of the books, the Bhagavad Gita, they have this section in there which talks about how the ascended master can project himself to different planets by shooting his soul off, and they have this beautiful painting of this man in meditation, and his soul or his consciousness is being projected to a different region or a different place, even though his physical body is there. He's able to see in the malakut like Balaam ibn Ba'ura did, or so many of the other enlightened individuals. And so you have the believer at the very end being able to go on these night journeys that are similar to what the Prophet Muhammad did on his lifetime. And remember the night journey, the Prophet was laying in his bed and he looks up and the ceiling opens up and the heavens open up, the sky opens up, and a creature appears and he's able to board on this creature, and he goes up into the heavens where he meets all of the enlightened beings who had come to the earth before, such as the Prophet Moses, the Prophet Jesus, all of the different prophets and messengers and saints, and he manages to speak with them, engage with them in conversations. He speaks with the angels, and the angels greet him, right? And he leads them in prayers until in the end he passes beyond a point where any angel or living being has ever been before. And he stands in front of the veil of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? He stands at the throne and he's able to pierce through the veil and look into the light of God, and he's able to hear the instructions of God and have conversations with him. And so the believer who becomes enlightened, he too reaches a station where he has totally defeated his physical human needs, all right? The very nature of this being, even though he's still in a body, he has gained full control over it. The spirit has completely shone through, and now it has control over every aspect of the physical suit that he is wearing. So he's not just in control, for example, of his temper, or in control of his tongue, or in control of his actions. He's in control of the human suit to the point that it doesn't need anymore anything to feed on except for the power that's given to it by the soul itself.
Yeah, that's remarkable. Like the whole process of development of that sort of part of our existence opens up like incredible capabilities.
Yeah, it shows you that there's an actual reality that's actually veiled from us. That is there, which is more real than this world.
Right, and this is the point. Okay, so, bro, when I was growing up, hearing these stories of people like doing these astral projections and meditating and, the yogis and the different sort of shaman and so on, I used to think to myself, okay, there's got to be some level of truth in it, but there's also like a level of skepticism within me.
I mean, the thing with humans is if we can't touch it, we can't see it. Yeah. The problem is, isn't it? We don't really take interest in it. We don't really have full faith. We don't really accept it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, it was very, very difficult for me to like sort of accept based on my Islamic upbringing and my sort of like science-based understanding.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean?
Gives a whole different meaning to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, his night journey.
Yeah, bro, this is the point. That whole thing, the astral projection, and then again, Father from whom is peace, or Abba Sadiq from whom is peace, like reaffirming this detachment from the need for sustenance.
Yeah,
like, bro, that's like that. There's so many things that would be solved by that. Do you know what I mean? Like in terms of the human condition, human existence.
If you look at the human existence, and if you look into history and you look at all the conflicts that have happened, all the disagreements that have happened, or every time someone's been power hungry, wanted to take over something, it's always at the base of it, it's always to do with sustenance. Materialism.
Yep.
You understand? It's all about wanting something because the body needs things.
Just look at all the conflicts that have been over oil.
Over oil, yeah. It's always over something financial or the economy.
Some kind of gain.
Yeah, it's some type of gain.
Yeah.
But imagine all of humanity becoming free of all these wants. It will transform humanity to a level that is like unheard of.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, like it just hasn't happened before.
No, we've never seen a demonstration of it. Not in our lifetime. We haven't, have we?
Right. And
I mean, we've heard of it, Edenic state.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the time of Adam, what Sadiq from whom his peace refers to, there was a state, but it didn't last long, and we all know what happened.
Yeah.
And how it all collapsed, and
well, it was that descent that opened up the world we know today, where there is this need for let's call it the hunt for energy, the hunt for sustenance.
Meaning that in our memory we do have like an underlying memory of this state. Meaning
There's a connection to it, but it's like subdued.
It's very vague now.
Yeah.
But there's always this longing to return somewhere.
Yeah.
Because have you noticed, even when you're kids and you're growing up, the first thing you do is look up and they look at the stars and you're fascinated.
Yep.
And everyone wants to be an astronaut. Everyone wants to go into space. Everyone's fascinated by this descent up.
Yeah. Or you want to be a rock star.
Yeah. Rock star.
Yeah.
Literally, the stars fascinate you.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it shows that humanity was at a different level a while back.
Right.
So meaning it has come down in degrees.
It's devolved. Like it's dropped significantly from where it was.
Where it was, in that state.
That's so sad to think about. But there is hope.
There is hope.
And I think we should jump to the next clip to see where it takes us.
Let's go for it.
The Hafta Sharif continues, and it proclaims that an additional power is given, or gift, so to speak, to this being who has completed his journey and arrived at the final destination. And this gift is that he is able to see his master, or the Imam, at any given time, in any given place. He is able to have access to him. He is no longer veiled from the Imam. Nothing separates him from the Imam. Not a tall mountain, not a gigantic sea, not a field or a hill or a house or anything. He can witness and have access to and speak to his master, the Imam, at any given time. And so this represents a sort of opening that takes place between the believer and between the Imam, whereby he's given 24-hour access to the Imam. And we know that there are other narrations from the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam that described incidents or individuals who had reached similar ranks or stations with the Imam. There are narrations that describe how Malik al-Ashtar, for example, had reached to such a degree that if Imam Ali alayhi salam was far away from him, he could still hear Imam Ali's weeping from a distance, right? Or his speaking from a distance. And so he had access to the Imam. The boundaries, right, or the limitations of the physical ear or the human body was no longer there. His soul broke through, and now he had access to his Imam. And this is extremely important, because a person who has constant access to their Imam, they would reach a certain degree or level or rank of infallibility, because you can't make mistakes anymore if you always have somebody that would give you the right answer, and if you're always constantly reminded of the presence of the Imam.
Bro, like, that is another thing that becomes a bit, like, difficult to picture, difficult to understand, right?
Yeah.
But you've got people who accomplished it. You've got people who had that. And the examples Abba Sadiq, from whom his peace, gave, like, they're basic proofs, right? Now, the thing is, right, in order to reach that point where you do have that sort of connection, you have to have total faith.
Yeah.
You have to have complete belief in the person being the representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah.
The representative of God, the Holy Spirit. And when you've accomplished that, when you reach that point, when you get to that degree of belief, which is higher than just believing, you reach this point of infallibility. You reach this point where you can't do anything wrong because you've got that continual guidance.
Yeah.
The examples you gave were like wherever, you know, the person would look, there'd be, you know, the Imam.
Meaning there's a veil upon the human being.
Right, exactly. There's this cover over the eyes, right, over the sort of senses, dulling us down, dulling the soul down, dulling the ability to connect, right?
Meaning that to reach that state, you can't really rely on the senses, because I don't think the senses as they are can actually really perceive the reality of what the Imam is.
You mean the ego-based senses, right?
Yeah, the ego-based.
Emotionally driven senses.
So meaning there has to be a sight that is beyond this sight. Yeah. There has to be a hearing that's beyond this hearing.
For sure.
And that's the only way that the communication between you and the Imam can be established, especially if it's like all the time.
Right.
So meaning that we have to shift our perspective. Yeah? Shift in what we actually believe. Like what you just said about faith, we actually have to have faith, in this path, bro.
In this path, in the man, in the message, in like
everything,
in God,
the whole package.
You're right.
Because if we once we've accepted this, then the journey can begin. And the journey begins by first that you have to actually denounce what you think is real. You understand? If you are confirming that everything around you is real, then you can't. Then the other side can never manifest, because this will be the thing that will always grab your attention. Yeah, and this is what your mind will keep manifesting.
Bro, like you've reminded me of something that we used to teach in like one of the organizations I worked in years and years and years ago. Whatever the mind can conceive and the heart can believe, you will achieve.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is the point. Like, if you up here believe something is like you think of something and you go, okay, there's this thing here and then there's that thing here. I truly believe in this thing. Yeah. That thing will manifest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you have any doubt in that thing, it won't manifest.
No, it doesn't.
Right? And this is the point. And that's that, like, reaffirming of self-belief and just belief in total. Like,
actually, it's a very beautiful connection with the universe.
Right.
Yeah, it is. And actually, if you have full faith, and with that faith, with whatever you want, you have this intense emotion.
Yeah. It just shows the power of faith, basically.
Then basically, yes, it will manifest.
Yeah, it's like it is a remarkable thing, and like it's a little understood thing, as in like in human society there is this like sort of the eye of envy. Like people look at other people and they see their achievements and they think, like how did they achieve that? And there's this like sort of eye of envy, right?
Yes,
but everyone can achieve anything they want if they truly believe that they can. Yeah. But the key is sincerity.
It's sincerity.
Right?
And something else. Gratitude.
Oh, but that's another level to it all, right?
That's the one little thing that people miss out when they want something. Yeah. They have to have gratitude.
Bro, on that note, I think we should jump to our next clip because it's very significant.
Okay.
Let's go to our next clip.
That's really interesting because you find in other narrations, for example, one of the companions of Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam, in one tradition, Imam as-Sadiq reveals to this individual a secret, and he enlightens him, and he wipes over his face, and then the companion goes forward, and in every direction that the companion looks, he finds Imam as-Sadiq. He looks to the right, he sees Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam is standing there at a distance watching him. He looks up into the sky, and he sees Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam is up in the heavens above looking down on him, right? Similar to that painting where you have Arjuna is sitting there after seeing the true form of Krishna, and you see Krishna with 1,000 faces in the sky looking down on Arjuna. The companion is shocked. He begins to run. He jumps into the water, falls down, almost drowns in the sea. sea. He looks in the waters, and what does he find? He finds Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam in the sea, also looking back at him. And in every direction, everywhere he would look, he would see Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam. Yes. And that reminds us all also of the words of Jesus Christ in some of the Gospels, where he said, turn over a stone and there I am, split open a tree and there I am. So there's this notion that is existing in these traditions. And in this book, whereby Al-Hafta Sharif is showing us that the Imam or his soul is encompassing the entire physical creation, the universe, and all where it is, and that the believer who's on this path, he's been asleep, right? As Imam Ali alayhi salam said, the people are asleep, but if they die, they wake up. And before this individual passes from the world, he's able to kind of wake up to a certain degree to where he realizes this truth, and he has constant access to the Imam wherever the Imam might be, and he gains a certain level of infallibility. And so he recognizes, he knows his Lord. The final destination was knowing. He came to know his Lord, and he became awakened to these truths, and these gifts were bestowed upon him.
So, yeah, like it's not just one or two Imams that have, permeated and become seen everywhere, basically.
Yeah.
Jesus, peace be upon him, did it.
Yeah.
Obviously, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam will have done it, right? Now, what could be better than seeing the infallible guide wherever you look to keep you from being, from going astray, basically? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be like the most, for the believer, would be the most ideal situation to be in.
Okay.
I mean, a person, look, the relationship between the believer and the Imam, the believer and the Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them, is like, it's been described many times, it's like the relationship of the fish and the water.
Dependence, basically.
Meaning it's like the fish without the water cannot survive.
Exactly, dependence.
So the relationship or the love that should be between the Imam of the time and the believer should be like the example of the fish. When it's taken out of the water, it will die.
Yeah.
So for a believer to have the Imam, surrounding his reality, permeating his reality, for him, it's the ultimate proof that there can be no existence and there cannot be any creation without the Imam of the time being present. Like we've heard, and if there was no Imam, there'd be no creation.
Well, yeah, there'd be no reason for it.
There'd be no reason for it.
But the other side of the coin, right, is obviously the fact that the Imam can encompass everything in that manner.
Yes.
Is another proof that obviously he is divine. He's divinely inspired. He's divinely he's a representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I mean, he's not a normal human being.
Exactly.
In that sense. I mean, he's not normal in that sense. In appearance, yes, he's human, but in reality, it's something else.
Well, it's a significant something else, right?
Significantly, yes.
And it's not if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all powerful, all encompassing, then it would stand to reason that those who represent him have that capability.
The same qualities and the same capabilities, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and this also confirms this all-knowing aspect. Okay, so, I think we should jump to our final clip because it really is a very big
let's go for it.
Explanation.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
The question becomes, okay, well, how wonderful is that? I too would like to be free from the limitations of my physical body. I too want to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and my Imam in the greatest way that I can. And obviously, as we've spoken before, nobody can know God directly. It is an impossibility. You can only know God as much as you know the Imam, alayhi salam, right? Because people learn from something which resembles them, right? So that's where the starting point is that God sends us this guide, and we have to submit to this individual in order that he leads us through these varying degrees. You have this verse in the Holy Quran that says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. And the meaning of this verse is, verily Allah and his angels pray upon the Prophet, right? O you who believe, pray upon him and also submit to him a full submission. And so there's this idea there, this commandment that we have, this importance that's placed upon this act, which is to submit a full submission to who? To Muhammad and the family of Muhammad alayhi salam. Submission is the key. Imam Ahmad al-Hassan, when he was giving the believers an advice on what it is to do, he said that on this path, people have to have patience, and then patience, and then patience, and then submission. In fact, the story in Surah Al-Kahf, which is the one of the righteous servant and Moses, that is a story of submission. Yes. It is a story of a man named Moses who thought in his degree that he was the most knowledgeable. And God wished to teach him that there were still other degrees that were higher than him, that he still hadn't completed. He still hadn't reached the final destination, the final stage. And so he teaches Moses not to look down upon anybody that's beneath him. Hence, he gives them the command, right, to find somebody that he's better than. And he tells them that if you would have brought that dog, I would have wiped your name out of the list of prophets. So a person, no matter what degree you're at, you can't look down at a person who is at a lower degree than you and consider yourself better than them, right? Because you, in the eyes of the person that's at a higher degree, might appear the same. And imagine that. That's a very important concept. Moses, who's an Ulil Azm prophet, he's at this degree. God tells him, bring forward somebody who you're better than. He almost brings a diseased dog. He doesn't in the end bring a diseased dog. God tells him, if you would have brought the diseased dog, I would have wiped your name out. That can only mean that in the eyes of somebody who's at a higher station, perhaps the knowledge that Moses had attained was not any better than that of a diseased dog. And everybody has a master, and he who does not have a master does not have an origin, right? Or is a tree without roots. It's just a tree that's dead, that's lying there.
SubhanAllah, bro. Yeah. Like, that clip really does sum up everything.
Yeah, I mean, Abbas Sadiq mentions the Imam al-Islam said, Ahmad al-Hassan from his piece, that is like, on this journey, patience, then submission.
Yeah.
But if you notice, the journey with the righteous servant and Moses,
it's all about submission. Yeah.
And how many stations did he have?
3.
And the Imam mentions patience.
He said, and every time with the righteous servant, he said to him, "You didn't have patience with me.
You didn't have patience.
You didn't have patience with me. You didn't have patience with me."
So
Subhanallah.
the Imam al-Islam is telling us that your journey, you believers, your journey with the Qaim is going to be like the journey of the righteous servant with Moses.
Yeah.
That's why he on purposely mentions, patience, then submission. Because there were 3 stations that Moses didn't have patience.
Yep, exactly.
You understand?
It's stunning, man. It really is. And all you out there, by the way, this is like literally half the episode. There's still another half that we've not gone into. So do yourselves a huge favor and investigate Abu Sadiq from him his peace. Look into this episode. We gave you the title at the beginning. And just investigate the School of Divine Mysteries on the Mahdi Has Appeared YouTube channel. It will change your life. I mean, I can't tell you enough about the book, The Goal of the Wise, in that there are so many mysteries, so many like amazing facts.
Are you appointed?
Just, do yourselves that favor, check it out, and we will definitely see you tomorrow. Have a good night, and God bless.
Are you appointed by God? If the answer is no, I'm not appointed by God, then thank you very much. I don't want to hear about it because you don't have the right to talk in the name of God.